Dear members of the media, representatives of universities and research institutions, and members from Chinese medical team, Confucius Institute, the Chamber of Commerce, and Xinhua News Agency, a very good afternoon, very warm welcome to our embassy. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to our friends in the media, universities and research institutions for your long-standing interest in and objective reporting on China-Rwanda relationship. As a group of opinion leaders of the country, your work serves as a vital bridge of mutual understanding between our two peoples. Gatherings such as this where diplomats, journalists, scholars, policy analysis, and fellow Chinese come together are vital platforms for mutual understanding, friendly exchange, and frank dialogue. And I'm also glad to be joined by my colleagues and our local staff who can speak, some of whom can speak fluent Chinese. The brotherhood between China and Rwanda is rooted in common goals based on empathy and grown out of mutual trust. The friendship between China and Rwanda is not only a strong political will of our two heads of state, but also enjoys broad support from our two peoples. Today, I'd like to address our four broad areas: China's development, China-Africa relations, China-Rwanda cooperation, and China's position on key regional and international issues. I welcome your questions and comments afterwards. I don't think there's much need to take notes because we're going to distribute a briefing note. So we managed to address the inquiries because we have collected some questions. So I managed to answer these questions in my briefing note. I don't think if some of them are not covered, so we can lead them to our discussion session for further inquiries. The first one, China's economic and social achievements. In March 2026, China's annual two congressional sessions, namely the two chambers of the National People's Congress, our parliament, and concluded successfully. The most significant outcome was the approval of outlines of 15th five-year plan, which lays out the major goals, strategic tasks, and key projects for China's economic and social development over the next 5 years. It also creates new strategic opportunities for practical cooperation between China and Rwanda across various fields. China has now become the world's second largest economy, the largest manufacturing powerhouse, the second largest consumer market, a development miracle of the largest scale of fastest speed in human history. One key code behind this success is the scientific formulation and successive implementation of five-year plans. Both China and Rwanda attach great importance to long-term planning and scientific governance. Rwanda's national strategy for transformation shares a similar spirit with China's five-year plan. Rwanda has its Vision 2050 and 2035 midterm target, while China has its own two-step strategic arrangement. With this similar philosophy of development strategy in mind, both countries have achieved remarkable progress in economic and social development. So what has China achieved over the past 5 years? Allow me to present some highlights. Economy, with high-quality development as our central focus. By the end of 2025, China's GDP exceeded 140 trillion yuan, equivalent to approximately $19.1 trillion for the first time, accounting for roughly 17% of the global economy. with an average annual growth rate of 5.4%, much lower than your country, over the 5 years. And per capita GDP, you know, we have 1.4 billion population. Per capita GDP exceeded $13,000 per capita for 3 consecutive years. China's average annual contribution to global growth has maintained at around 30%. And people's well-being. China has established the world's largest education, social security network and healthcare systems. Coverage of compulsory education, basic pension and basic medical insurance has surpassed 95%. Personal income grew generally in step with economic growth. Average life expectancy has reached 79 years, 79, continuing a trend of increasing by 1 year every 5 years. So what can China bring to the world and to Rwanda after we enter into the 5-year plan? First, we provide an anchor of stability for world economy. The plan sets a GDP growth target of 4.5 to 5% for 2026, leading among major global economies. And second, we build a strong, larger platform for win-win cooperation. President Xi Jinping has repeatedly stressed that China will never close its doors to the world. It will only open wider and wider. China has announced to implement zero tariff treatment from May the 1st this year for all 53 African countries having diplomatic relations with China. And third, injecting vitality into industrial innovation. The 15th five-year plan strengthens the scientific and technological layout in strategic frontier areas, promotes deep integration of AI with real economy, accelerates R&D in cutting-edge fields like quantum technology, and maintains momentum in strategic emerging industries such as new energy vehicles and aerospace. China has stood out as an anchor for peace and prosperity and a valuable and vital opportunity, resilient and reliable partner for all. This year marks the 55th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between China and Rwanda. As good friends, good brothers, and good partners, our two countries share mutual synergy in development philosophy. I am confident that a smooth implementation of the 15th five-year plan will bring new historical opportunities for our bilateral relations, deepening cooperation in trade and investment, digital economy, modern agriculture, human resources development, and other fields, and delivering even greater benefits to our two peoples. I would like to take this opportunity to brief and update you specifically on Taiwan question. The Taiwan question is the core of China's core interests. It's not only about China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, but also deeply concerns all Chinese compatriots' feelings, sentiments, including those in Taiwan. To date, 183 countries have established and developed diplomatic relations with China on the basis of One China principle. On April the 10th, 2 weeks ago, the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party and our President, Xi Jinping, met with Zheng Liwen, chairwoman of the Chinese Nationalist Party, it's called Kuomintang Party, in Beijing. You know, the National Party is the opposition party in Taiwan, because they have normally they have a two-party bipartisan system ruling the island. So this party is not in office, but it's the biggest opposition party. Has very deep historical link with the Chinese Communist Party. And the two sides called for joint efforts to promote cross-strait peace and oppose Taiwan independence. President Xi stressed that no matter how the international landscape and the situation across the Taiwan Strait may evolve, the overarching trend toward the greater rejuvenation of the Chinese nation will not change, and the prevailing momentum bringing the Chinese on both sides of the strait closer together will not change. President Xi called safeguarding the shared homeland through peaceful development. The core issue for safeguarding the shared homeland lies in recognizing that both sides of strait belong to one China. So there is no Republic of China in the world. There's only one People's Republic of China in the world. So this is the essential difference between these two, between the ROC and PL, People's Republic, or PRC. So just, our media friends are kindly reminded to pay more attention to this formulation. So People's Republic of China. And last week it was reported that Lai Ching-te, the so-called leader of Taiwan Authority, has cancelled his trip to Eswatini. All African countries, with the sole exception of Eswatini, have established diplomatic ties with China. 53 countries on the continent, including Rwanda, together with African Union, have adopted the Beijing Declaration at the 2024 Forum on China and Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, the summit. They have reiterate on many occasions that they firmly uphold the one China principle, reaffirm that there is one China, but one China in the world. Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. No one can ever stop the eventual reunification of China, so we do appreciate Rwanda's unwavering commitment to the one China principle. And let me talk about China-Africa relations. The 2026 is the 70th anniversary of the beginning of diplomatic relations between China and African countries, also designated as the One China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchange. China-Africa relations has witnessed and will see many new developments. And together with the other global South countries this relation represent just a force in this turbulent and transforming world. For 36 years, China's foreign minister has been kicking off the year with a visit to Africa in every January, a tradition that has been honored rain or shine. This consistency reflects the spirit of commitment of China's diplomacy. In this new era, President Xi Jinping deeply values the bond with Africa. He emphasizes sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith to take the right approach to friendship and interest in working with Africa, always reminding us of our friendship and solidarity with the continent. We will continue to respect the African countries' political and economic choices based on their own national conditions and honor the principles of non-interference in African countries' internal affairs and non-attachment of political conditions, strings to assist Africa. On February the 14th, 2026, China announced a landmark opening up initiative. Starting from May the 1st, it will implement zero tariff treatment on 100% tariff lines for 53 African countries that have diplomatic relations with China, marking Africa as a whole joining China's zero tariff circle. In fact, 33 countries, including Rwanda, have already benefited from this zero tariff treatment since December the 1st, 2024. Rwandan agricultural products such as coffee, tea, and chili have entered the Chinese market through the zero tariff policy. According to the United Nations database on international trade, China imports from Rwanda of coffee husks, substitutes with coffee have increased from $126,000 in 2013 to $1 million in 2019 to $4.72 million in 2024. In 2025, China imported 869 tons of Rwandan coffee, valued at $5.97 million. The zero tariff policy helps enhance the competitiveness of Rwandan specialty agricultural products in Chinese market, enriches consumer choices and bring tangible economic benefits to Rwandan farmers and export enterprises. On January the 27th, as a shipment of 2.4 metric tons of raw Rwandan coffee beans arrived at Changsha. That's the city where I served as vice mayor for 2 years. For the first time, by cargo flight from Addis Ababa with the import duty rate reduced from 8% to 0%. The enterprise enjoys a tax reduction of more than $1,600. So China is not only the world's engine, but also the world's market. To facilitate the implementation of zero tariff policy, Chinese customs have continuously improved the clearance, supervision, and services, established the green channels for African agricultural products to China, with advanced quarantine access procedures and reduced the non-tariff barriers, helping Rwandan products enter Chinese market faster and more conveniently. And hundreds of people-to-people exchange is a facilitator. Hundreds of exciting events to take place under the China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchange. So we are always ready to work with our African brothers and sisters to draw more inspiration from our cultural heritage and civilization, forge a strong bond between our two people and carry forward our friendship for many generations to come. The embassy will also organize a variety of cultural and people-to-people exchange activities. So far, the embassy has organized several people-to-people exchange events, including Spring Festival reception and handover ceremony of Chinese medical team, International Women's Day film screening, reception and filming event at Faway Girls' School, etc. The embassy will subsequently hold youth dialogue, martial arts festival, friendship delegation, Juncao technology training course, forum on China-Africa economic trade and cultural cooperation. So we welcome our media friends and scholars to join us to celebrate together. About the visa facilitation that promote people-to-people exchange. In April 2025, the embassy launched the online visa application system. It brings more convenience to applicants who only needs to go to consular office once completing the process. To further facilitate visa applications starting from December 17th, 2025 through December 31st, 2026, applicants for short-term visas with a stay up to 3 months will be exempt from fingerprint collection, and 25% reduction in Chinese visa fees has also been extended to the end of this year. Visa facilitation policies have encouraged an increasing number of Rwandan citizens to visit China. As far as we know, in 2023, more than 3,500 Rwandans visited China. But in 2025, the number increased to around 7,000. So double. The growth rate nearly doubled. China-Rwanda cooperation. China and Rwanda cooperate closely under the 4 global initiatives, namely their global governance, and global civilization, and global development, and global security. On September the 5th, 2024, President Xi Jinping met with His Excellency President Paul Kagame in Beijing on the sidelines of the FOCAC summit. The two heads of state announced the elevation of the China-Rwanda relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. The two sides issued a joint statement on jointly promoting the implementation of the then 3 global initiatives. And finally, we have a global governance initiative. according to statistics from the General Administration of Customs of China, total China-Africa trade in 2025 reached 347 billion US dollars. That's between China and Africa, up 17.7% year on year, hitting a record high for the fourth consecutive year, with China maintaining its position as China, Africa's largest trading partner for 16 consecutive years. At the bilateral level, the growth momentum is even stronger. In 2025, total trade between China and Rwanda reached 849 million US dollars, up to 26.9% year on year. Notably, China's imports from Rwanda surged by 42% to 227 million US dollars. 227 million US dollars, far exceeding the overall growth rate of China's imports from Africa, that is 5%, during the same period. So to foster closer economic and trade ties between China, I have some expectations and proposals. The first one is signing bilateral framework agreement on economic partnership for shared development. To date, China has signed such framework agreements with 35 African countries. The framework agreement provides long-term, stable, and predictable institutional guarantees for China-Africa trade and investment cooperation, while the early harvest arrangement allows the benefits of the agreement to reach the people of both sides more quickly. China is now working with other African countries to replicate this model. China also looks forward to elevating China-Rwanda economic and trade cooperation to a higher level through further market opening, enhanced industrial cooperation, and deeper connectivity, thereby contributing to the building of an even closer China-Rwanda and China-Africa community with a shared future. And the second proposal, participating in more exhibitions. China International Import-Expo, that is in Shanghai, CIIE, and Canton Fair in Guangzhou, and China Import and Export Fair. The China-Africa Economic and Trade Expo, that is based in Changsha City, and other exhibitions have become more important bridges connecting African countries with the Chinese market. So it is hoped that Chinese and African entrepreneurs will make full use of these platforms. So I am sure as a successful African host, Rwanda is well aware of the outcomes and advantages that such exhibition and conferences could bring about, because you are the host, very successful host on this kind of exhibition and conferences. So during the 8th China International Import Expo in 2025, the number of African exhibitors increased by 80% year on year. Rwanda has participated in all 8 editions of the CIIE, making it a perfect attendance participant. Through these platforms, premium Rwandan products include coffee, chili, and macadamia nuts have journeyed from Rwandan fields to the tables of Chinese consumers. In particular, Rwandan coffee has been its brand recognition in China grew rapidly and is increasingly favored by Chinese consumers. And third, major cooperation projects. I would like to brief you on major cooperation projects between China and Rwanda are processing smoothly. Congo second hydropower project. So I accompanied His Right Honorable Justin Nsengiyumva, the Prime Minister of Rwanda, to receive a progress report from the project contractor and conducted an on-site inspection of the project dam, water diversion tunnel, and held discussions with enterprises representatives. So once completed, it will effectively enhance Rwanda's overall power supply capacity and alleviate the current power shortage and provide clean energy for achieving the Vision 2050. And secondly, the largest progress of China Aid Masaka Hospital renovation and expansion project. So this hospital is completed recently, and it will nearly double the Chuck's Hospital current capacity and feature Rwanda's first helicopter landing pad within a medical facility. The smooth completion of the project will further enhance local medical service capacity, improve the diagnosis and treatment environment, and provide safer, more convenient, high-quality medical and health services of Rwandan people. And the Agriculture Technology Demonstration Center, launched in 2006, updated in 2011, from a modest experiment in backyard to a shining agriculture that is transforming lives, promoting sustainable agriculture and combating malnutrition, enabling self-reliance and poverty alleviation. This locally dubbed miracle grass it's called miracle grass, juncao, mushroom technology, has benefited more than 35,000 local technicians, farmers. And education. So education, China and Rwanda have maintained close exchanges and cooperation in education. So since 1983, China has been providing government scholarships to Rwandan students to support their studies in China, a tradition spanning over 4 decades. So last year, we sent over 400 Rwandan trainees to China for short-term training and workshops, and offered government scholarships to about 110 students. Both figures reached the record heights. And cooperation in vocational education also yielded fruitful results. The Lubin workshop, you know about that, at IPRC Musanze, jointly established by Rwanda Polytechnic and Jinhua Polytechnic of China, offers 2 majors, e-commerce and electrical automation, and has provided vocational skills training to nearly 10,000 people, both online and offline. Chinese technical instructors regularly travel to Rwanda to teach and provide guidance at the Lubin workshop. So under the China-Africa Vocational Education Cooperation Program, Tsinghua Polytechnic and the Rwanda Polytechnic also signed a 2+1 joint training agreement. Rwandan students study for 2 years in Rwanda, then 1 year in China, and eventually obtain an advanced diploma. This June, a new cohort of 30 students from IPRC Musanze will travel to Jinhua for their studies, bringing the total number of vocational students dispatched under this program to 90. And China supports Rwanda's Early Childhood Development ECD program. The project was launched in March 2025 and runs for 18 months, funded by China and implemented by UNICEF. So it's a tripartite project. Has been rolled out in 11 priority districts across Rwanda, equipping local ECD centers with essential supplies. So over 2,100 children will directly benefit, while around 1.5 million children, parents, and professionals will benefit indirectly. And cooperation between China and Rwanda in artificial intelligence holds promising potential. We are committed to promoting global governance on AI towards safety, fairness, and inclusiveness, and has initiated the endeavors in this regard. So last year, our Prime Minister Li Keqiang announced the proposal of the Chinese government to establish the World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization, We call it WECO. I'd rather pronounce it in the French way, WECO, much easier. WECO, WECO, is it correct? During the opening ceremony of the World AI Conference and high-level meeting in Shanghai, WECO is positioned as an intergovernmental organization aimed to strengthen coordination to establish global AI governance framework. It is in line with the Global South's common aspiration to promote AI for good and in service of humanity. Rwanda attaches great importance to digital technologies, including AI and big data, and focuses on positioning the country as a leader in Africa for AI research and innovation, leveraging AI to drive economic growth, enhancing public service delivery, and fostering inclusive development. So a global AI governance initiative was put forward since 2023, stressing the need to ensure equal rights, equal opportunities, and equal rules for all countries. So the embassy, since then, we had lots of discussions on how to deepen our cooperation on AI with Rwandan partners. Capacity building is a long-term basis for AI development. So far this year, we have selected most suitable participants, either governmental officials in charge of ICT's experts, entrepreneurs, journalists, to join 4 training sessions for seminars in China, covering AI regulation and policy making. AI empowering women and medical service, smart industry. So AI and journalism, among others. Chinese company Star Vision. The Star Vision recruited Rwandan students to write AI programs that run on a real satellite. So at current stage, 2 Rwandan interns are at Star Vision using space AI for real-world services. And Huawei Smart Education Project, you know about phase 1, is concluded. So as the pioneer AI and ICT cooperation project this project has connected about 1,500 Rwandan schools to educational networks through digital infrastructure, advancing Rwanda's educational formalization. So these are the main benchmark projects of bilateral cooperation. And I would like to spend a couple of minutes on security issues. So we cooperate closely under the Global Security Initiative. So mutual trust between the PLA, People's Liberation Army, and the Rwandan Defense Force has been continuously enhanced as a result of deepened cooperation in high-level exchanges, personnel training, etc. Since 2024, cooperation between China and Rwanda in policing, law enforcement, and public security has been deepened significantly through high-level interactions, multilateral security forums, and signing of bilateral agreements. The police and the law enforcement cooperation between the 2 nations has transitioned from broad strategic consensus to concrete institutionalized mechanisms. Minister of Interior, Dr. Vincent Biluta, and the Inspector General of Police, CG Namu-Ranye, actively participated in the Global Public Security Cooperation Forum hosted by China. And the 2 sides exchanged experiences in law enforcement and emphasized the shared concept of security through cooperation for development. And last November, on the sidelines of Second China Yapuko ministerial dialogue, China's Deputy Minister of Public Security, Xu Dadong, and Dr. Vincent Biluta co-signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Police Cooperation. This MOU opened a new chapter in China-Rwanda police cooperation, covering regularized collaboration in multiple substantive dimensions, including police capacity building, combating transnational crime, law enforcement technology exchange. So Rwanda has played an increasing the important role in cooperation between China and Eastern Africa Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization, IAPCO. In November, Rwanda hosted the second China-IAPCO ministerial dialogue in Kigali. This mechanism demonstrates China is embedding its police cooperation with Rwanda into a broader East African regional security framework. And the final stage, I will make it brief, China's position on key regional and international issues. The Iran conflict is one of the most pressing challenges facing the international community. So recently, President Xi Jinping solemnly made a 4-point proposition on safeguarding and promoting peace and stability in this region, and offering a Chinese approach to resolve this crisis. So they stay committed to the principle of peaceful coexistence, and stay committed to the principle of national sovereignty, and stay committed to the principle of international rule of law, and stay committed to the balanced approach to development and security. So as a Chinese solution to end the conflict and realize peace, these 4 propositions have received a growing recognition and support from regional countries and the international community. The current situation is at a critical stage of whether the conflict could end or not. So it is more imperative than ever that all sides show utmost sincerity, stick to the direction of political settlement, keep up the momentum for ceasefire negotiation, and work for the early restoration of the normal passage through the Strait of Hormuz and peace and stability in the Middle East and Gulf region. And during the President meeting with His Excellency, the President of Mozambique in Beijing, and President Xi Jinping stressed that China is ready to work with Africa to navigate these challenging times and jointly promote peace and seek common development. So first, upholding principles to promote peace, and second, keeping strategic focus on development, and third, leading by example in mutually beneficial cooperation. So in response to Africa's call, China will work with the continent to further unlock cooperation potential, deepen mutually beneficial cooperation, support African countries' development, and continue to building an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future for the new era. And the final one, China is closely following the developments in the Great Lake region. And first, we would like to reaffirm the following 3 points. The first, the prompt efforts are needed to de-escalate the situation and implement a ceasefire on the ground. And the second one, the security concerns of all countries must be properly addressed to uphold common security. And the third, we need security and development to work in tandem to address the root cause of the conflict. So I would not spend much more time to elaborate on these 3 proposals. So we will, if you need more information, we'll come back to you. Considerable ground this afternoon, and I thank you for your attention. And the central message I wish to leave with you is China is a country of peace, development, cooperation, and openness. China is committed to providing certainty in an uncertain world. Our engagement with Rwanda and with Africa as a whole is guided by the principles of sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith. We are proud of what China has achieved, and we are proud of what China and Rwanda have built together. And we are excited about what lies ahead in governance, in trade, in culture, and in the deepening friendship between our 2 peoples. And thank you again, and I look forward to your insights and questions and comments on the second session. Thank you very much.
Since we make the health cooperation between China and Rwanda closer, and keep the long friendship between our two countries. We pay attention to the empowering of the local doctors and the nurses, and give them regular and complete training. We make special plans for anesthesia, obstetrics, gynecology, surgery, traditional Chinese medicine, and other key areas. We give lecture, show schools, teach step by step, and do case studies. We make the medical and academic exchange between China and Rwanda closer, and build a platform to share the medical schools. We often visit officials from the Rwanda's health ministry and the local hospital. We hold a meeting, discuss cases, and share the experience. We fully exchange the idea of treating patients. We share the China's good medical ideas, experience, and useful treatment plans. We agree on the key work to do next. We also join the local medical meeting, share the research results in many fields, learn from the local medical experience, and learn from each other. To bring good medical help to more people, we actively hold the free clinics and health education. We have held 11 free clinics and health talks. They cover the local schools and Chinese company in Rwanda. Because the local hospitals do not have enough medical equipment, we try to get help from our country and donate the medical tools to partner hospitals. They mainly include operating beds, cleaning operating tables, and other usual tools in operating room. We use our good skills well and activity to difficult operation. In the 45 years of Chinese medical aid to Rwanda, the 26th Chinese medical team successfully did the first radical macrotomic and stereotomic in our team. The operation went well and the patient got better soon. We made the progress in this operation and fully showed the good treatment level of the Chinese medical team. At the same time, we successfully did many difficult children's bone operations. We made carefully plans for the children and saved many young patients with bad bone hurt. This great made the local ability better to treat the difficult surgical disease and sudden heart. We fully use the good rule of the traditional Chinese medicine and do new treatment with Chinese and Western medicine. For very sick patients, we use traditional Chinese medicine to care for them and help them get well for a long time. Very modern medicine, we help very sick patients and post-operation patients get well a complete way, make their future better, and improve their life quality. In obstetrics and gynecology, we do new birthing help with Chinese and Western medicine. We mix the Chinese medicine, point care, mode care with the modern birthing help. This greatly reduces the mother's pain, makes the natural birth more successful, and is very welcomed by the local mothers. On basis of the training common and use the data well, our internal medicine team actively saved a very sick patient. Besides treating the usual disease, we successfully help a patient with acute leukemia from the Chinese company. We always put the patient safety first. Our anesthesia team joined in saving on very sick patients on the way to keep operation safe. We successfully gave the anesthesia for more than 200 operations. During the operations, we kept teaching local doctors anesthesia skills and management. We make their ability better by their work and help raise the local level of the surgery and anesthesia. Facing all kinds of difficult and very sick cases, we mixed many skills to treat together. We do difficult cancer operation, fix the children's backbone hurt, save the sick mothers, and stop the sudden serious sickness. We always use the traditional Chinese medicine to care for very sick patients and treat the long-time disease with Chinese and Western medicine, with good skills and careful attitude. We saved many patients and earned high praise and trust from the Rwanda government, doctors, and people. In daily medical work, we have got great results. We have treated more than 5,000 outpatients, covering international medicine, surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, orthopedics, anesthesia, stomatology, and traditional Chinese medicine. Very many schools working together. We finished all kinds of the operation, save very sick patients, and do special treatment. We protect the health of the local people with our action. Since we started medical aid, China-Rwanda medical cooperation has got many results. This is because of the strong support of the two governments and the hard work of medical team members. In the future, the 26th China medical team to Rwanda will keep working hard, deepen the medical aid, and keep the passing health cooperation between China and Rwanda. With harder work and better service, we will give more medical help to improve the health and happiness of Rwanda people and make the friendship between China and Rwanda stronger. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Chinese Ambassador, and a dear friend from Chinese community and the think tank and the Rwanda media, Midway. Okay. I am Zheng Guangyu, as the MC introduced, the Chinese director of Confucius Institute. The full name actually is called the Confucius Institute at the University of Rwanda. We are a collaborative project between University of Rwanda and the Chongqing Normal University, China. So we have been committed to building bridges for language exchange and the people-to-people connective between China and Rwanda since its officially operation in 2009. So over the past 17 years, we have worked as a window. We opened a window for Rwanda people to see the real China. We worked as a bridge the two countries' people mature understanding, and we worked as a platform. So the last 17 years, we have cultivated over 20,000 local talents with Chinese language skills and an international perspective. Currently, the Confucius Institute has established 14 teaching sites in universities, secondary schools, and primary schools, and technical, like vocational schools across the country. Many Rwanda students have achieved upward social mobility through Chinese language and has lifted their families out of poverty by learning Chinese and find jobs in Chinese companies. more students have used the Chinese language and between China and Rwanda and enhance the people-to-people communication through economic, culture, and exchanges. So since 2026 is the China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchange, along with the 55th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Rwanda. So taking this opportunity, we has planned a series of high-level and in-depth activities. From January to the present, we have successfully held events such as like Asia-Africa Wisdom and the Sustainable Development Civilization Dialogue, and the International Taiji Chuan Day, International Chinese Language Day, and the China-Rwanda Mental Health Education Exchange Seminar, which have been warm received. So at the end of the May, exact date will be 24th May. We will hold the Rwanda Regional Finals of the Chinese Bridge competition, which it is also as known the Chinese Proficiency Olympic. So the colleges, students from colleges, secondary schools, and primary schools will compete with the winners will represent Rwanda to compete in Beijing or in China. So, and during the holiday, we will organize a summer camp, like a study travel to China, allowing outstanding students to travel thousands of miles to experience firsthand the real, the multifaceted, and the comprehensive modern China. Also, we are an academic institute, so we will host a seminar like on China-African relationship. I think we will, the think tank will be invited to join us. And as a special event of a China-African Year of People-to-People Exchange, we will invite experts and leaders from Rwanda universities and the educational department to participate in our high-level conference such as China-Africa University President's Forum and the World Chinese Language Conference in Beijing. Furthermore, we will also conduct a series of Chinese culture activities to celebrate the 50th anniversary. Definitely, finally, the Confucius Institute will continue to be rooted in Rwanda and serving the local community. And we sincerely invite our media friends to pay attention to and report on our exciting competitions and academic events, witnessing the vitality of a China-Rwanda friendship through to people-to-people exchange. Murakoze, 谢谢。
Distinguished guests and friends from media, good afternoon. It's a great honor for me to be here on behalf of China Chamber of Commerce in Rwanda, introducing us to all media and friends. The China Chamber of Commerce here was founded on May 19, 2009. It's a non-profit organization composed of 33 Chinese member companies covering multiple business such as infrastructure construction, telecommunication, hydropower, logistics, and related sectors. Our key members, China Road and Bridge Corporation, is a president company. China Geoengineering Corporation, China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, Hunan Road and Bridge Corporation are the three vice president companies. Power China is a secretary general company. Other members like China Railway, Huawei, StarTimes, blah blah. Since the establishment in 2009, our chamber has actively integrated into Rwanda local society and assisted in organizing various cultural exchange activities. On this occasion, I would like to briefly introduce our main work and achievements. During the past 17 years, we are dedicated to sustainable Rwanda and China economic and trade cooperation. Firstly, the Chamber of Commerce always emphasizes legal and compliant operations, encourage our member companies to study Rwanda laws and regulations. We advocate an early warning system for unfair competition. Secondly, our member companies build benchmark projects to inject new energy into Rwanda development. As introduced, we have 33 member companies. Our president company, China Road and Bridge Corporation, has rooted in Rwanda for more than 51 years. Nearly 70% of Rwanda's asphalt roads are constructed by China Road. For example, multinational Rwanda Brandy Road project around the Kivu Lakes, Kigali Urban Road upgrading project. These completed projects has earned multiple awards, including the Rwanda Beautification City Contribution Award and the ENR Road Class Global Best Engineering Project. Our commitment to high-quality projects, delivery, and service has been acknowledged by both the Rwandan and Chinese governments and institutions. One of our vice president company, China Geoengineering Corporation, has executed over 40 projects in areas such as irrigation, urban and rural water supply, and drilling. Our Secretary General company, China Power, is building a hydropower station named Nyabarongo Second Multi-Purpose Development Project. Once completed, it will effectively enhance Rwanda's overall power supply capacity. Alleviated the current power shortage and provide clean energy for achieving the Vision 2050 development goals. Thirdly, provide job opportunities and promote skill upgrading. Our member company had provided systematic vocational skill training to local employees, helping them acquire a marketable skill from ordinary workers to technical backbones. Many young Rwandans have achieved career growth in Chinese enterprises. For example, in our present company, China Road, more than 90% are local employees. One of our vice president company, China Geoengineering Corporation, has over 1,000 local employees, while Chinese employees' quantity is only 70. Fourthly, we are also dedicated to public welfare and fulfill social responsibilities. China Chamber of Commerce has consistently carried out various public welfare and charitable activities. For example, supporting education. For many years, on Children's Day and during the back-to-school season, we have donated school bags, stationery, and sports equipment to primary school students in remote areas, helping thousands of students improve their learning conditions. The other example, caring for children's health. On March 20th, 2025, World Oral Health Day, we donated 2,250 sets of oral hygiene kits to local schools. Another example, fighting the pandemic together. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Chamber of Commerce acted swiftly, donating urgent needed medical supplies such as masks and protective clothing to local government, standing with the Rwanda people to overcome the difficulties together. At last, in 2026, China Chamber of Commerce here will continue to uphold the principle of compliant operation, respect for local culture, enthusiasm for public welfare and the promotion of employment. We will serve as a bridge for friendship between China and Rwanda, a promoter of pragmatic cooperation, and a bearer of social responsibility, contributing more to strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between two countries. We really appreciate this valuable opportunity, and thank you again for your invitation and all your attention. Thanks.
Appreciative if you turn off your cameras and recorders, because remember that our symposium today is a
supply chain. Just as I mentioned, the two congressional sessions have once again clarified that high quality development is the overarching priority for China's development in the new year. So for years we have expanded in this country like hydropower, wind and solar energy. So we have leveraged AI and big data to build smart power grids, significantly boosting the integration and delivery efficiency of green energy and enhancing the resilience of our energy system. So this is precisely how China has maintained stable energy supply and sound social functioning amid global energy tensions stemming from recent regional conflicts. So our experience offers useful reference for Rwanda and other African countries. At present, uncertainties like in fossil fuel supplies are on the rise, compounded by dual pressures on energy security and climate governance. So African countries like Rwanda, may prioritize renewable energy development based on their own resource endowment and build a diversified, self-reliant energy system. So this will not only reduce reliance on imported oil, but also lower electricity costs, improve people's livelihood. I would like to say a few words about the payment system. As the main for global cross-border renminbi in our currency, the active promotion of CIPS, it's a new system, banking system. CIPS access between China and Rwanda marks an important milestone in deepening China and Rwanda financial cooperation. So it's also a concrete step for both sides to jointly implement cooperation consensus and support your country in achieving your goal. So currently, Bank of Kigali and IM Bank are steadily advancing technical connection, business testing, agreement signing. So formal access is expected to be completed on schedule. So following your integration into CIPS, direct cross-border RMB clearing between China and Rwanda will be realized. Significantly, it will shorten settlement cycles, reducing exchange costs and further facilitating bilateral trade and investment and enhancing the competitiveness of Rwanda export products. So I recommend this system because we are working on this, because facing this uncertain world. So there's a Chinese notion, never put all the eggs in the same basket. So this is a very good option for you, rather than the replacement of the SWIFT, about that system. So this is not a exclusive system. This is just just we are part of the international way of payment. So I have seen some progress and movement in this regard. So maybe this could help the Rwandan side to solve to address some difficulties on the shortage of U.S. dollars, because you have very low, you have some challenges on the reserve of this currency. So, we also, our Chinese companies will also make more contributions, as our Chamber of Commerce mentioned. So they will make more contributions on in helping the local communities on their employment. So since the outcomes of our bilateral cooperation deliver tangible benefits to Rwandan people. So there are over 100 Chinese enterprises operating in Rwanda, providing roughly 20,000 full-time local jobs. So take the Masaka Hospital renovation expansion project as an example. It's in the early phase. The ratio of Chinese to Rwandan employees stood at 1 versus 9. At the peak of construction, nearly 900 local workers are on site. So more than 10% of Rwandan staff have developed into skilled workers. So another notable example is CND, about the factory. So with fewer than 10 Chinese employees, it provides over 7,500 full-time positions for Rwanda. And I just, also talk about those vocational training programs in China. We're providing this more than 400 last year to Rwandan students, and over 100 scholarships too.
We talk about the supply chain. Supply chain doesn't exist independently, as you know. So when we talk about supply chain, it always to be connected with trade, investment, technical infrastructure, the trade and economic arrangement locally, like EAC, and the local industry. So if I may say, what Chinese can do to promote the upgrading of the supply chain capacity building of Rwanda, some keywords came to my mind. First of all, the 2050 vision. It's a strong foundation for Rwanda to materialize its ambitions, including the supply chain building. So we can imagine in several years, by 2035, by 2050, and we can materialize many goals, and that will include the supply chain building, and vice versa. The strong supply chain will support the further development of Rwanda, social economy, every works. And secondly, the international cooperation, including the Chinese involvement and the Chinese elements. And secondly, the independence. That is an experience we gained from the development of China, our own, during the last 40, 50 years. Without independence, the supply chain has no meaning for the people. And then resilience, we all need it, especially like the current situation we are undergoing, the Middle East, the turbulence. And then governance, we admire what we say, what we saw in Rwanda. such an excellent country that showcase its excellent governance, an excellent example for not only for the African continent but also for the world. How a developing country can gain its fast developing at an annual increasing rate around 8% that lasts over more than 20 years. And I believe it will last more years in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It will keep growing. That is my belief for Rwanda. And then opening up. Only if we stick to the opening up, the supply chain could be a long-lasting one. Because you need outward, we all need. And next but not the last, the human resources building. And as you know, as just the Ambassador, His Excellency, the Ambassador God just mentioned, many countries, including China, contributed to this, and we will do more as we can. Thank you.
Ambassador actually says during his briefing. I think I really want to draw your attention to our presidency's meeting with the Mozambique president. Really, they mentioned how the Africa could work together with China to mitigate, the spillover effect. It's relating also the supply chain and all the other relevant, aspects. So 3 points you must remember. The first, upholding principle to promote peace. I think Rwanda also do the same way. Actually, when the crisis, breaks, you can notice our Foreign Minister Wenqi actually take, a lot of phone call and meeting with roughly around 20 stakeholders, either Iran or the Israeli side or the Gulf states. And also, before our president, Xi Jinping makes the 4 proposition, China and Pakistan also, they do make a 5 points, proposal for the peace. So upholding the, real multilateralism, that's what we can do, because as China and Rwanda, all we are in the UN, we also uphold the true multilateralism. We can work side by side to promote the peace, to de-escalate the conflict. The second, keeping strategic focus on development. As Ambassador mentioned, China and Rwanda work a lot on the 4 global initiatives. Development initiative is also one of the key pillars to support all the things. So we emphasize the comprehensive, the security, the concept. So without development, you don't have the security, the overall. So for developing initiative, actually when Ambassador briefing on China-Rwanda cooperation, some of the highlights, I think 2 points maybe we can do. Because sometimes the crisis or the challenge could become an opportunity. That's actually a Chinese philosophy also we say. A misfortune lies also where the blessing is yours. So I think, we can expand it already the solid basis, what we already achieved. Like the ambassador mentioned, the Juncao, the mushroom, the project, that's also benefited a lot, could be upgraded into larger scale. And also like some of the people-to-people exchange project, as the Hong Kong Polytechnic University professor and students, they do in the past 12 years to help the rural area to set up the solar panel. Actually, that can mitigate the energy crisis. Also, as all the the company like our medical team and our Confucius Institute and also Chinese Chamber of Commerce, a lot of companies actually that deep-rooted in Rwanda over 40 or 50 years. I think China Road and Bridge. So try to make full use about those already resources Rwanda already has to try to expand it, that connection and cooperation. Another is that you just on the basis of the solid foundation, you try to tap out potential, the unleash those new productivity. So as Ambassador mentioned, the AI, as mentioned, the Wenqi, that other platform. Actually, Rwanda are very active. We can see you, Foreign Minister, travel a lot. you have reached out to a lot of the region, even far beyond in the Caribbean or the other. So you are not put all the eggs in one basket. So that's also another good way to mitigate the spillover effect. Third, as the President mentioned, leading by example in mutually beneficial cooperation. I think China-Rwanda is already the shining example in the China-Africa cooperation. But we can do more, actually. As Ambassador mentioned, some of the signature landmark project is going on and is underway. It is a good progress. So we also hope all the media friends and also all the other relevant, contributors for this friendship cooperation could also help, encourage the more exchanges and also the mutual understanding to create a more beneficial, amiable environment to attract more Chinese companies to invest in Rwanda, to try to attract more Chinese tourists to come to visit Rwanda, to promote Rwanda even better. I think you already done a very good job. You already do a miracle, but as we also have the full confidence in Rwanda, because if you ask the CI director, Lu Wang Da in Chinese, means Wang means prosperity, Da means successful. We really have the full confidence in Rwanda. So thank you. That's for some add-up words here for your conference reference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Honore from Mama Urkwagasabo.
The centenary goal 2049 in China. Well, the two centenary goals aim for a moderately prosperous society by, we have 3 steps at that time. 2049, the centenary of the people's, a modern socialist country, to build a modern socialist country, 2049. So China has achieved its centenary goals through a combination of strategic planning and sustained economic reform and technological innovation and poverty alleviation. We have declared that we already finished that job, and on 2020, around that time, President Xi has announced that we have solved this problem on poverty alleviation. So the 2 centenary goals aim for moderately prosperous society by 2021. So it's already concluded. And so the second phase will be the modern socialist country by 2024. So I think the key messages we need to take, the key goals we aimed at are as follows, I think. The first one is economic development, so the booming, economic prosperous. The transitioning from a agrarian to an industrial and service-oriented economy. So to more opening up and to foreign investment and becoming a global leader in trade and manufacturing. And the second one is an infrastructure and urbanization. So we should put more investments in transport, energy, and digital infrastructure, as I mentioned, on so many sectors, including high-speed rail and the 5th generation, maybe 6th generation networks, and poverty reduction. The lifting, poverty reduction, so more, just to keep up with that pace of eliminating poverties, to keep that record. And technological self-reliance, advancing in AI and space exploration, like semiconductors and green energy, as I just mentioned, to reduce dependence on foreign technology. And social stability and governance, maintaining political stability under the leadership of our Chinese Communist Party, and improving public services and ensuring social harmony. And for sure, the last one, global engagement and participating in more international organizations and promoting the Belt and Road Initiative and other 4 global initiatives and fostering multilateral trade relations. So these strategies and goals will help China to achieve our second phase centenary goal and to aiming for a modern socialist country in 2049. Thank you.
Okay, maybe there's a secret, the code behind. So for for China's achievement, I think for the governance theory by our Communist Party of China, they emphasize on 6 aspects. The first one is the people-centered. I think we share the same values. Yeah. So they say we continue to strengthen our reform and opening up, but the reform is based on the follow what the people's aspiration. So what the people's they need for prosperity, clear, better education. Another is, we call we say in Chinese, 守正创新. That means what I emphasize, you just follow what the right path is. No matter whether it's rain or sun, no matter whether there's only a few people pointing finger to you. So that's also the second one, second key words. The third should be also like, you have to put it in a systematic way, to do your development. As China, we do the 5 years plan. So continually, it's already 15 years. So that no matter we have the, from our chairman Mao, Deng Xiaoping and Jiang Zemin, the other older leadership, no matter, now the President Xi, they just pass through that, stick to the same goal, generation after generation. So there will be no say, okay, predecessor, veto, or the other. So that's a long-term strategy. That's also the aspiration was the Communist Party for. Yeah. So I just name a few, the key words, but certainly I think China and Rwanda share a lot of similarities. We can also learn from each other for the good, better governance for the people. Actually, Ambassador also, not long ago, we also link up, the African governance school, with the Chinese, leading top 1 university, especially emphasize mutual learning from each other on the governance theory. Also, whether you can find your own homegrown solution to better serve the people, and also emphasize also the other, the rule of law or the other. You have to follow either the international rule, and also you have to also promote the human rights, conscious and also capacity. Actually, China and Rwanda also have very good collaboration in these fields. Just to say a few words, to name a few, but we also wish to have more interaction with Rwanda in different circles on that aspect. Thank you.
On 11th of November, the CPC held a very important meeting. And after that meeting, on that meeting, one very important report was published publicly. And its name is Resolution of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China on the major achievements and historical experience of the party over the past century. So this report summed up the experience of how China gained its achievement today. I think we would like to share with you this route, this clue, and perhaps you can look deep inside of this report. If we find your answer, thank you.
I'll try to respond. The first question makes me reflecting my happy 2 years in Hunan province before I took office 10 months ago. I spent 2 years as a vice mayor of the Changsha city, the capital city of Hunan province. I know how important this province is for our bilateral relations. So, especially under the framework of the China-Africa Economic and the Trade Expo, Changsha city is the permanent seat of this mechanism. It's very important. The foreign minister visited the city last year, the year of 2025, in June. So the economic cooperation has entered into new phase and pragmatic advancement. So this expo serves as a premier platform for policy dialogue, business matchmaking, and product showcasing. And then, your ambassador, Ambassador Kimono, His Excellency, he's very active and he has lots of interactions with this province. And I would say sometimes he's more like a salesperson, on your agricultural products, and especially in Hunan province. I think thanks to his efforts and our joint efforts, more and more agricultural products from Rwanda has now entered into, especially Hunan is the first leg and the most important stop of your agricultural products. So looking ahead, both sides recognize the potential of direct cargo flights to accelerate two-way trade. I know we have direct flights from Changsha City to Nairobi maybe 3 times a week or maybe twice a week. So this is really, very encouraging. Maybe it's very close to Hagati city, but maybe one day, sincerely hope one day, we could have a direct flight straightly from Hagati to Changsha. So we can explore the feasibility studies, the regulatory coordination, and the airline. So we have to check with the airline partners and give it a thorough review on the market potentials. So I am sure with the continuous expansion of economic and trade ties, we are confident that direct cargo flights will become a reality. So I would definitely, because we are working on the normalization of the formalization of the sister relationship between Kigali and Hunan province. So they have already signed a letter of content on the sister relations. So we try to formalize it. So we will definitely seize this momentum and opportunity to put this agenda on their bilateral agenda in normalizing this relationship. And the other one is before I pass it on to my colleagues, the other one on security issue I mentioned, as I just mentioned, I just would like to reaffirm, China-Rwanda, especially, police and the law enforcement cooperation will focus on operationalizing mechanisms, and harnessing technology and deepening professional training programs, jointly combating transnational crime and building a shared security shield, especially in the country and even in this district in East Africa. So it's our cooperation, our military cooperation is the aim of military cooperation is for peace and stability and mutual beneficial. So we are willing to continue to work together with Rwanda to deepen our cooperation on national defense and support African solutions addressing African issues so as to achieve prosperity and stability in this region. Thank you.
I think most of the media friends must have noticed that bilaterally. If you notice that we have our military attaché, the first military attaché arrived, in Rwanda in 2024. Actually, it's already very signature, meaning to expanding the, good cooperation and exchanges between the two countries. So also yearly, every year we will have the, reception to celebrate our Army's Day. So also all the media friends are most welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
And I also thank all the presenters who have made a contribution. And I believe this exchange is part of the beginning of the people-to-people exchange for which China designated this year to promote people-to-people exchange. I believe on Rwanda, and mine is not a question, it's just a contribution. I see that in 2024, when the relationship between China and Rwanda was elevated to comprehensive strategic cooperation, this means something very big. It means that it's not an ordinary cooperation, but something beyond. And we see that in this cooperation, in the 55 years that we are going to be celebrating this year, of the cooperation between China and Rwanda, there are a lot of pragmatic and transformational cooperation, that's how I would call it. That there are a lot of tangible results that we see in the last 55 years that have happened between the two countries. I think, if I remember well, some weeks ago, I saw His Excellency the Ambassador wearing a helmet in the road near Prince House, and I understand we are going to have one of the interchange in Rwanda on that road that is going to ease congestion. Yeah. So this is something very important to see that we are having things that are practical. Secondly, I thank the medical teams for the years that they've been in Rwanda. Today, Rwanda, I think, is one of the countries that register a high life expectancy within the region. And one of the reasons is because we have medical services. And I see that China is contributing to this growth in life expectancy. When I pass at Masaka Hospital and you ask the ordinary people, they'll tell you this is a Chinese hospital. They call it Chinese hospital. And the upcoming renovation and extension really makes it look beautiful, and I think it is one of the biggest hospitals that we are going to have in this country. So these are something that are tangible, something that are practical that we can see. In terms of trade and investment, my sister here, I think, made a presentation on behalf of the Rwanda-China Chamber of Commerce. And we see that today we have the biggest source of FDI is from Chinese companies that are investing here in Rwanda. And we see them growing year by year. So this is something that gives us confidence that the cooperation Rwanda has with China is something that is really making a difference in the economy, making a difference in the lives of the people. And I think this is something to be commendable, that as we celebrate the 55 years, we have tangible achievements that we can look at and we say, wow, this is what our cooperation has resulted into. On the African continent, because I normally deal with looking at China-Africa cooperation, still this year I think we are celebrating 70 years of China-Africa cooperation. And again, we see developments like the zero tariff on goods from African countries. This is something that has been really appreciated by so many countries in Africa. If we look back at other countries, the kind of trade agreements that we have, sometimes we find that they are conditional. Yeah, they have conditions attached to them in order to be able to qualify for that kind of trade agreement. But for the zero tariffs, I think it only gives African countries the spirit of competitiveness to improve on the quality of the goods that they are going to export on the Chinese market. So here I can see part of the 4 global initiatives being put into a practice on what I could call shared development, because this is going to help the African countries to move ahead in terms of commerce and trade. And the other day I was watching news and I saw something to do with the Taiwan president, because we know Taiwan is not a country, it's part of China. That is what we all know. But what interested many people around was to see that he wanted to visit one of the countries they have cooperation with. I think it's the only one, Eswatini. And I saw African countries saying, no, we cannot give you airspace because we do not know you as a head of state. So to me, this was, I think, an indication that most of the African countries have known the one China principle, that this is one country, but other people who push on the other side, but we see that the African continent is together with China in pushing the one China principle. This also reminded me the UN Security Council meeting in 1971, when African countries voted as a bloc to make China regain its seat at the UN Security Council. So out of the 76 countries that voted, we had 26 African countries that voted in favor for China to recover its rightful seat. So I can see also that the cooperation between China and the African continent is in the right direction, and this is something that we all benefit from, and this is a shared development that can help us to move together, leaving no one behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gerard, for your very
Your Excellency Ambassador, my name is Said Melhumuriza, and I'm actually one of the lecturers at the University of Rwanda. My contribution is of gratitude now, because as you see me here, I'm actually a product of 2 countries. My education is actually from Rwanda and China. I've been to China for very many times. And I want to appreciate the solid foundation that the 2 presidents of our countries has laid around for us to grow. The 2 presidents of us are the presidents that speak their talk, they walk their talk, they speak their actions, and the actions also reflect what they speak about. This is something that we can cherish as the 2 countries' populations. When you look in the international perspectives, we, Africa, precisely Rwanda, has come from very far. And when you go back to China, they have also come from very far. I also visited Hunan province. I visited Chamo Mao's city, even his house, hometown. You know, it was actually an experience that actually these people that we call the savior of our countries, they dedicated their lives to where we are today. The central point now comes into ourselves as young people, as the people who are enjoying the fruits of our presidents. When it comes to education, I want to highlight that China has set a tone to teach the international community When Xi Jinping said in a concept of global community of the shared future, he described a globe as a boat where we can all be. And when we are in a boat and there is actually a wave, no one can escape. We have to treat the world as a boat. And China has been doing this for very many years. When you look back to the ecological codes that you have, it sets the tone of which codes that can actually save us from the poverty to the door of richness, of the wealth. One of the codes, actually there are very many codes, but as there are actually almost like 10, it is the governance code. The governance code over President Kagame and the governance code of Xi Jinping are the governance that represent and also orient the people first, putting the person, the people, citizen first, serving the people, not serving the, kind of otherwise. And when you go to the global north that they call their philosophical underpinnings that you have to also implement, it is contradictory. But we have African philosophy, Ubuntu philosophy. We have African theories that you can also implement. So if we put this in education, as Honorable Ambassador has been mentioning, through the people that we interactively send to study in China, and also the people that come from China to come to Rwanda, if they practice these codes, it will result into the pragmatic endeavor of development. Finally, when you look at the trust the two countries have been putting in place, they were actually reflecting what President Xi actually prioritizes: mutual respect, win-win cooperation, and of course, mutual trust. This comes in from all of the presentation happened here. As I was in China for 2 years, I experienced all of this. It is reflecting the fact. Now for the media house, I think there is a sense that now we can promulgate the good news of where we are from, of how we are capable, and where we are heading to. If we can pontificate the best that we can do, it can now open up the eyes of the rest of the generations to come to follow that path and learn from our parents, learn from our two presidents, and of course implement all of them in our daily routines. Your Excellency, actually I want you to submit these thanks and gratitude to the President. They have been doing good, and of course our President Paul Kagame have been doing good. We wish all the best, that we wish also to carry the torch of the two countries' cooperation. Thank you.
Some of the things that I had wanted to ask were covered in the ambassador's briefing, but I thought I should not glaring gap in the discussion that we've had here, and that's I've usually had the impression that China plays a fairly significant role in agricultural modernization in developing countries. And I think there is a presence of Chinese experts in Rwanda at some agricultural station somewhere, but I haven't had that mentioned. In a country like Rwanda, where the modernization of agriculture is really absolutely necessary. I would have loved to hear a bit about what China is doing for agricultural transformation in Rwanda. Thank you.
I think agricultural modernization is also one of the three, the pillars actually our President Xi mentioned for the China-Africa cooperation. Actually, China and Rwanda also done a lot. I think we also have the signature irrigation project. It's also, we also in the many years ago, I think also quite many years, we also have the one, we do the one well for one village. So that also helps the rural area to do the, to serve the people. And also we have throughout the years, as I mentioned, we have those multilateral workshops, actually emphasize on poverty elevation. The rural area Rwanda is also like what China mentioned, the agricultural farmers' well-being are the key. Actually, it's the number one topics throughout the whole year's agenda for the government report. And also, China has sent so many, I think some of the one planting chili here, that actually also they studied in China, the couple. So they actually, it's a very good story. I think the media's, people can have more exploration. They get to know each other during their study in China. One from China, the girl from China, I think the boy from the Rwanda. So they're all learning on the agricultural, processing or the upgrading, majoring. So then they bring back the lady, back to the Rwanda to planting chili. They saw China is a good, market for exporting Rwanda's chili to China, the bigger market. And they also want to upgrade in the chili production to make it not only selling the chili, but also want to make it expanded to the food supply chain. So actually it's a very good story. And also even for the Juncao technology, actually Rwanda also not only, I think Rwanda is the first one to set up the center in Africa. And also now the Juncao project, we would say happiness grass, already expanded to more than 100 countries around the world. And also the UN actually also have a tailored program for the training of the workshop of Juncao technology. So I also hope, actually for me, I'm a mushroom lover. So actually there are a lot of resources from the nature Rwanda can make full use. Juncao is one thing. You only have this kind of blossom of the edible Juncao, but in China we have a lot of variety of mushroom, but that dried mushroom that need more upgrading technology. But really looking forward to Rwanda, throughout the cooperation, for the cooperation, can strengthen that because that can help balance the dietary nutrition for the school feeding plan, and also can help curb, the soil erosion. They can prevent a more natural disaster. Also another thing, the other day, actually I shared the story with you, your eco wetland, the park management, they come to us. It's want to discuss how to make full use or tap out potential from the bamboo. The bamboo economy should be also quite of a highlight for the new quality productivity. Actually, in China also there's an international organization called the Bamboo and the Writing Organization. And China, through that, bilateral and multilateral workshop, they also set up a bamboo center I think in the Addis, in Ethiopia. But Rwanda, you already have the people already noticed that, good trend, because the bamboo can be replaced with plastic. So Rwanda is really in a way to promote, green economy, no plastic. That's also a very leading way. But how to make that, in the implement more efficient and effective way? Bamboo is also a good solution. But I really encourage all the circles of, people can tap out more potential from that. The agricultural production is really, modernization is a long train. So really can serve the, feeding program, nutrition, also, help you have those baskets, the rice bowl, you're holding your rice bowl on your hand. That's a long chain. Also, you have the good seed, whether you can have high yielded, crop. So that's something, China will have the father of the rice. Really, we do a lot for the down great contribution for the poverty elevation in China because we have such a huge population. So there are a lot of aspects, those basic ingredients, the feeding things, that can have more value added. So something we need to explore more, have more exchanges. So we really, throughout the whole year, we also have a lot of multilateral workshop. Sometimes also we have the bilateral workshop, even on chili precision or the other. So I think we can do a lot. So to my knowledge, 3 years in the Rwanda, so I think we already done a lot, but we still have a lot to do. As His Excellency President Kagame mentioned, aim high, you also have to work hard. So we try to solve the problem with the feeding problem. I think that's the key issue, to empower the country, empower the youth, empower the people. So certainly I have also my good colleagues who are in charge of economic and trade.